Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome back to our Chavruta sessions live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg of the Noahide World Center. Hopefully, you've had a chance to go over this week's material. We're on section 5 or chapter 5 in his Kuzzari studies. Excellent material. I had a chance to broadcast that on Tuesday with my Chavruta partner in Paris, France. Excellent time. A lot of insightful material that I look forward to seeing what the rabbi has to go over with us today. So let's just jump right in and say hello to the rabbi. Shalom, Rabbi. Where you at? I've got, I believe, Ann on the screen at the moment.
Let's say, you know what we need to do. I'm shouting you down, all of you, but it's okay. You can always open the microphone and speak, okay? So it won't bother others. Just a moment, let's do it. Is the way you go. It is okay. Now, Dan, you're controlling who is on the board and who's behind the scenes. Good evening, everybody. Good evening from Jerusalem. Hope everything is fine. Again, feel comfortable to jump inside. If you have any questions, anything to say or anything to ask, whatever it is. Good to see you all. Good to see you with us. Good evening from Jerusalem. This is, I think that if you're asking me, I'm a bit excited. I know that this specific part we learned already more than once, but it's always a joy and inspiring to learn this part of the Kuzzari now, because everything was a preparation for what we're going to learn tonight. And now we're going to start. The best thing I can say is new dimension, not only new direction, but also new dimension. And it's something that the Hebrew nation is giving to the world. And I'm happy that we're in a stage that we can speak, and it's falling on ears that are listening to what we have to say. I think that I said already more than what I need. Shoshana, good to see you. Last week we missed you. Yes. Good to see everybody. Okay. Jacob, I saw you. Bart, I saw you already today. Others, good to see you, everybody. Okay. Helen, where do you live again? Please, Helen. Yes, Helen.
Hi, good evening. I am from Estonia.
Okay. Fair enough. You know that today in Estonia, I think we are not, the Jews, Israelis are not allowed to go to Estonia. I think it's a new thing. Who knows? The world got crazy. We're not going inside of this now. Fair enough. Okay, so let's dive inside. Let's start. I will summarize for a moment what we saw till now. Basically, what we saw is that we started with a dream or with a desire. We call it. It's better to say the word desire, that the king of the Kuzzari had a non-Jewish person, and I think that it's representing a desire that every person in this world have, and everyone wants to have also a good relation between him and God, between him and the authority and the most powerful authority here, and to live in good peace and harmony with God. And what we saw is that he has some sort of a desire to do the right things. So not only that he's feeling good or that he wants to do the right to do good things, but he wants really also to do the right deeds. And he's starting the journey, and the journey starts with, I will say, with the mindset, with the reason. We're not shouting down the reason. If we want to speak about faith, we need to discuss it also logically. So Rabbi Yehuda Levi is using the ideas in his time. In a moment, I will say about this something. And then after he is not unsatisfied, and especially because we see, and today we see it again, okay, the war between the Christians and the Muslims. According to the philosopher, there's not supposed to be any war, because each one of us is supposed to worship God in his way, and everything is fine. But in the era of Rabbi Yehuda Levi, it was the Crusades, Richard, the Heartline, and also what's his name, the other one from the, I forgot his name, from the Muslims. They had big fights about Jerusalem, okay? And there is no reason for that, according to the philosopher, according to the logic understanding. So he is going and trying to dive to the Christian faith. We did it briefly, and then to dive to the Muslim faith. We also did it briefly. Both of them basically said to him, we are relying on the Jewish tradition. Okay? The Christian said, we replaced them. The Muslim said, they are fake, something like that. And this is where he said, I have no other choice except for speaking with the Jews. And now we came to the Jews. One thing I want to mention, Rabbi Yehuda Levi is bringing to us the main, I would say, philosophers and main ideas in his era, in his time. It was more or less Aristotle things. Aristotle things. Aristotle point of view. Now, if we will dive inside a bit, today we have a different understanding of science. And this understanding of science brought us to the stage that we believe in something that is called the law of attraction. And the physics and everybody is explaining everything from the law of the attractions. And it's fine. I have nothing against it. It's the most reasonable thing that we can think today. But if we will dive inside a bit to this and we'll try to think, the law of attraction is trying to explain why the earth is not running away too much from the sun, and the sun is attracting the earth so it won't go far too much. The truth is, it's an assumption. We have no proofs for that. It's the most reasonable explanation that we have, but we don't really have proof for that. And if we're going to discuss the law of attraction, so I have a very simple question. I have a few simple questions that we can ask. For example, if I'm taking a stone, I'll take this mouse, okay? If I will leave it alone, it will fall down because the law of attraction is asking it to go down. But if I'll go with a fire, if I'll take a flame, the flame is not going down, it's going upwards. So to what exactly it's attracted? So we will explain it's attracted to the source of the fire. The source of the fire is the sun. All those are reasonable explanations that we have, but we don't really have, I will say, a proof to all of those ideas. Think about this. We can find ourselves another 200 years that someone genius will stand up and will explain everything a bit differently. And then everybody will laugh at us with our explanation. In the Hebrew tradition, we have something a bit else, and we say, God miraculously created the world, and he did few stages in those 6 days. And from the 7th day, he bundled the world in such a way that he is all the time organizing it in the exact things that he decided a few thousand years ago. And since then, all these laws of nature are the same. Do we know exactly all the laws of nature? We will discuss this later, but I want you to be aware that we can't, I will say, we can't laugh. We can't speak about the explanations of the philosophers of Greeks, the Greek big philosophers, and everything that they explained, and to say today, it's nonsense. I don't know how much the things that we're saying today are not nonsense for another 200 years of science. I don't know. Maybe we will progress on and we will find other ideas. The idea of the law of attraction, if you will think about this carefully, you will see it's an assumption. It doesn't really have any proof, 100% proof, except for the attraction to the, some things that are getting attracted to the earth. Except for that, we don't really have. And we don't know exactly how it's working in the big cosmos, okay, with all of the stars. Fair enough, just a note. Again, I'm not against it. I think it's okay, but just a note to think about. But now let's dive inside to the answer that the Hebrew rabbi is answering when the king of the Kuzzari is asking him, what do you believe in? What is your explanation of belief? So I'm sharing the screen. Dan, are you feeling okay to read things tonight? Excellent. Good to hear that. It wasn't like that all of this week. Okay. Let's the truth is, let's read first of all 11 and 12. Okay. You know what? Sorry. Let's read 11. First of all, 11. First one. Let's read 11.
Okay. This is what the rabbi replied to the Kuzzari. He said, the rabbi replied, I believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, who led the children of Israel out of Egypt with signs and miracles, who fed them in the desert and gave them the land after having made them traverse the sea and the Jordan in a miraculous way, who sent Moses with his law and subsequently thousands of prophets, who confirmed his law by promises to the observant and threats to the disobedient. Our belief is comprised in the Torah, a very large domain.
Basically, he's answering something very, I will say, very annoying. I'll say it like that. The stories are true. Okay, we can prove them history. We can prove them with a lot of things. I think that most of the stories people will say happened. Fair enough. But the most important thing is, if I'm asking someone, what is the God that you believe in, and the answer is something like that, it's a very personal God. It's a God of my nation, only my nation, nobody else. And if I was a non-Jewish person, I would get very upset and very annoyed here. Look, I'm starting here without any questions. I'm just saying, I'm stating. If I wasn't a Jewish person, I would be very annoyed. This book is not for me. Those ideas of the Bible are not for me. Those stories that happen along the Bible are not for me. I'm living in Estonia, I'm living in Canada, I'm living in France, I'm living in Europe, I'm living in Africa, I'm living in the United States, maybe in South America. It's not related to me. I have nothing to do with this book and with those stories. Now, at this point of time, my question is, and if you try to answer that, why this Bible is getting such a big, I will say, presence in the whole world, in the Christian world, in the Muslim world, when this Bible is not speaking about those countries and those nations that are reading this book. Think about this for a moment. Again, I will be more exact with the question and then try to answer on the, as we usually do, on the chat. Think about this like that. If you look on the Bible, it's the opening of the Bible is Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve is not related to the Hebrew nation. Fair enough. Till now, everything is fine. But after 11 chapters, that's it. 2,000 years, but 11 chapters, we're starting to speak only about one family, Abraham. One of his sons is getting neglected, Isaac. One of his sons, of Isaac's sons, Esau, is getting neglected, staying with Jacob. From there on, we're speaking only about the family of Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, Jacob, okay? And everything that's happened to them, all of their history. Why in all of the hell people have the idea and the thinking of learning this Bible when they are living in other places of the world and they are not related at all to Abraham, Isaac, and Israel? If you have any answers, any ideas of answers, please type down. This is your opportunity now. Not all of you together.
Yeah, people have a tendency, Rabbi, to want anything that they perceive to be good.
Fair enough, but Dan, please write it down. It's important. Write it down. we say but connected with the reality of history. Okay, and there's also the answer that God created the world. It's the only book. I'm not 100% sure that this is the only book that says that God created the world. There are other ways to explain how the world was created. Let's say like that. If you go to the old Greeks or you will go to the old Romans, they have also ideas how the world was created. Different ideas than us, but they do have ideas. Sheila is saying history. Sheila, good to see you. Good evening. Yes, please. Are there any other ideas? Think about this for a moment, okay? All of you are interested with the Bible. It's fair enough. I know that it's happening today. Personal experience. The nations now. No. Wow. Israel is a chosen people. Okay. The truth is, it's a hard question. It's a hard question, but oh, Melinda, interesting. God choose only one nation, and the nations heard about it. Fair enough. The truth is, I want to leave this open. I can give answers. I can give my answer, but I want to leave it open at this point of time. I prefer to continue on with 12 and 13, please. Done, and then we'll. Okay, Angelica. Fair enough. Let's leave it open. Please, done. Read 12 and 13.
Sorry, Rabbi, I was typing in an answer. Okay, number 12. El Kuzzari said, I had not intended to ask any Jew because I am aware of their reduced condition and narrow-minded views, as their misery left them nothing commendable. Now shouldst thou, O Jew, not have said that thou believest in the Creator of the world, its governor and guide, and in him who created and keeps thee, and such attributes which serve as evidence for every believer, and for the sake of which he pursues justice, in order to resemble the Creator in his wisdom and justice.
So first of all, the Kuzzari is upset because you're speaking about something that happened to you, your history, your relationship with God. Everything is fine, but it's not related to all of the world. And the rabbi is even more annoying. Please answer. Please say number 13, and we'll explain a bit what's happening here. Please read 13 also, please.
Okay, 13. The rabbi said, that which thou dost express is religion based on speculation and system, the research of thought, but open to many doubts. Now ask the philosophers, and thou wilt find that they do not agree on one action or one principle, since some doctrines can be established by arguments, which are only partially satisfactory, and still much less capable of being proved.
I will, now we're diving inside to the main points, okay? If it's okay, my question is very simple. Can we understand at this point of time? What do we understand at this point of time? Why or what exactly the rabbi answered him? What exactly is the main, I will say, hardcore in one sentence? Try to do in one sentence to define on what exactly the Hebrew people believe. What exactly, yes, and what exactly the Hebrew people believe. This is the main, I will say something amazing. All the rest of the Kuzzari is explaining those three points. Okay, all the Kuzzari from now on is going to explain this beginning. And try now at this point of time, where we didn't learn all the Kuzzari yet, to say in one sentence, maximum 2 sentences, what exactly is the belief of the Hebrew nation. When you say they believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, can you explain this in different words, not only to state a sentence here, in your words, Antonio? Helen, okay, thank you very much. Historical events and personal experience. Okay. Who else I want to say? They believe Hashem created jumps from just a moment. Dan, you're saying something that is not written down here. I don't know from where did you took it. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe I even agree with this. But how can you see this from the wordings that we read now?
I see the king as inquiring. Well, if you had said that you believe in the creator of the world, its governor and guide, in him who created and keeps you, and such attributes which serve as evidence for every believer. So the king is trying to understand the broad understanding over all of creation, including every person. But I've been reading a lot of Rabbi Nachman, and I guess Rabbi Nachman kind of made it clear that the whole purpose that Hashem created was to reveal his kingship, and in order to have kingship, you actually have to have a people. You can't have kingship without a people, and so the Bible opens up revealing, like Genesis is really the genesis of the Hebrew people, and the whole point is to reveal the kingship of Hashem through a people. And so I think the concept of kingship. I'm sorry, Rabbi.
No, I'm saying you're saying excellent things, but you're saying Rabbi Nachman. You're not saying the Kuzzari. The Kuzzari is doing something else. You're more than right. I'm not saying that it's not true. It's true.
Yeah, the Kuzzari is taking the common approach, that most people are in, just looking for the creator as the governor and guide, and the things that are evidence for every person, whereas the Kuzzari replied with his national identity from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the family, and the miracles that Hashem took them out of Egypt. Very important point in establishing them as a people.
First of all, thank you very much for that, and also for all of the things that people wrote here. I read them. Meanwhile, I want to say, and this is also, I hope that you all read the continuous. Okay, the continuous is a story about someone that is coming from a very far place. Today, with the airplanes, we almost everywhere in the globe. In the old days, in the ancient days, it was very far to go to India. It was very far from them to go to India. So the continuous is explaining, okay, the Kuzzari is very upset with him, because he's saying to him, everything is only related with you and with your family, and so you're very selfish. I will say it in my words. And then he's giving a story there, that if I will get something from people from India, I can believe that the people there, or that the king there is there and is related with me. In a moment we'll read it for finalizing it, but what I want to say, and that it will be very clear. And some of the people wrote here, and I think with what I know, with my knowledge, it's not what Rabbi Yehuda Levi is saying here in this book. We are not speaking about the miracles that happened to Israel. This is not the proof. The proof is not the miracles. And I can show you this in the Maimonides also. The miracles were never proved for the Hebrew nation. The Hebrew nation never took miracles as something that, okay, so now we believe. Miracles are only, I will say, are coming only for the weak people, for those who have no, I will say, those who are getting very excited from something that is a bit of a magic. And I can show you this if you want. I can show you this in the Bible. The Hebrew nation always rejected all the miracles, and they didn't. Whenever there was a miracle, also you saw after that they did some sins. They said, "We not because of miracles we believe in things. We believe in something else." We see a long history, and now listen good to what I'm saying, because this is the main principle of this 11, 12, and 13. We see a long history that someone above of this world is guiding us, promising us things. We are managing to achieve those things. And it's because he is part of us, he's guiding us, he's connected with us. And he also told us that he created the world. This is the story. This is in one, on one foot, on one moment, or one sentence to say what's happening here. We got promise in Genesis chapter 15 that God told us he is going to send us to Egypt. We're going to be slaves there. And after that, we will go out from Egypt and we will conquer the land of the Hebrew people, of the Hebrew nation, and we will live there. And it happened. Now, nobody went out from Egypt, not even one single person. Everyone who was a slave in Egypt, in the old Egyptian nation, never had the possibility of going out from Egypt. So suddenly, a group of a nation is going out from Egypt. And the Egyptians are flying out in the history of the sand, like the sand. We have, this storm of sand. They flew away. We don't have the old Egyptians today, but we do have the Hebrew people. And then the Hebrew people are coming back to what we call Canaan, okay, the place of the Hebrew nation. And it was in a way that unexpected. It can't be I will say in a nature way. It can't be in a nature way. So the one who said to us that he's going to do that, who said to Abraham, did it. And he also revealed himself in the Ten Commandments and said, you need to keep the Shabbat because I created the world in 6 days. And on Shabbat, I took a rest on Shabbat. It's not a rest, never mind now. I stopped from building of the world. So I created the world. Did we have ever someone who was in the era that God created the world? There was any man here in this world that saw God creating this world? The answer is no. Therefore, the timing of those 6 days, it's a question, because timing today because we are measuring time, and we also have no proof that God created the world. We have no proof. But we have something else. We have the personal experience. But you are very exact. We have a personal experience of relation with one who is above the laws of nature. And he is guiding us. He is going with us. He is mentoring us. He is telling us what to do. And he's helping us to bring it to reality, even though it's unbelievable. And he also revealed himself to us. How exactly, we don't know. It's a miracle situation, how God who created the world spoke with men. This is something that we will deal later on with the Kuzzari. And we don't know exactly to explain how he did it, but we felt something we call this prophecy. It's a different dimension of this world. It's not only the reason, it's not the senses, it's something else. And when he exposed himself in front of us, he also told us that he created the world. We can't prove it. We do believe him. Now, after I said those words, let's read for a moment the story, okay, from 14 till the end of this part. Please, Dan, read it, slowly. Let's go.
Okay, from point 14.
Yes.
Okay, Al-Kuzzari said, well, that which thou sayest now, O Jew, seems to be more to the point than the beginning, and I should like to hear more. The rabbi said, well, surely the beginning of my speech was just the proof, and so evident that it requires no other argument. And Al-Kuzzari says, how so? And the rabbi says, well, allow me to make a few preliminary remarks. For I see you disregarding and depreciating my words. Al-Kuzzari says, let me hear your remarks. The rabbi says, well, if thou wert told that the king of India was an excellent man, commanding admiration and deserving his high reputation, one whose actions were reflected in the justice which rules his country and the virtuous ways of his subjects, would this bind you to revere him? Al-Kuzzari says, well, how could this bind me, whilst I am not sure if the justice of the Indian people is natural and not dependent on their king, or due to the king, or both? The rabbi then replies, but if his messenger came to thee bringing presents which thou knowest to be only procurable in India and in the royal palace, accompanied by a letter in which it is distinctly stated from whom it comes, and to which are added drugs to cure your diseases, to preserve your health, poisons for your enemies, and other means to, can you scroll it up, Rabbi? And other means to fight and kill them without battle, would this make you beholden to him? And Al-Kuzzari says, well, certainly, for this would remove my former doubt that the Indians have a king. I should also acknowledge that a proof of his power and dominion has reached me. The rabbi said, well, how wouldst thou then, if asked, describe him? Al-Kuzzari says, well, in terms about which I am quite clear, and to these I could add others which were at first rather doubtful, but are no longer so. 25.
Just a minute. Don't read 25 for a moment, okay? Let's scroll a little bit for the 25. First of all, look on the structure of the story. The structure of the story is very clear. I've heard that there's somewhere one day, today, let's say in Mars, okay? India is close to us today. Let's speak about Mars. Someone there in Mars. I have nothing. I have no relation with him. I have nothing, any connection with him, nothing. Okay, but when he's sending to me some things, some presents, some things that will help me to be against, that will help me against my enemies and things like that, then when I need to describe him, first of all, I believe that he exists. Now, the second thing, when I need to start to describe him, the way that I will describe him, first of all, from the things that I have experienced, and then with the things that also others are saying about him, and I don't 100% have certainty about it. This is exactly what happened here with the Kuzzari and with the rabbi. When he asked him, what do you believe? He said to him, look, let me explain to you my experience. The Hebrew nation experience, have some sort of experience with this Almighty God who promised things and fulfilled them. So I have some sort of a relation with him. Let me explain this in a different way, and you will see that it's getting even clearer, much more clear. For living in this world, God created something very, I will say, weird. We never thought about this, but it's happening like that. God created something very weird. We're supposed to eat 3 times a day, or 2 times a day. What will happen to us if we won't eat? We might die, right?
That's correct.
We all know that.
Wither
We all
away.
know that. We must eat. If someone won't eat for 7 days, he will die. This is how it's happening. This is how the world is functioning. Now, I don't know if you ever ask yourself, why do we need to have this system? Why can't God, for example, create us in a way that we need to be upside down 3 times a day? Not to eat. To eat, it's something very uncomfortable. We need to buy things. We need to cook them. We need to sit in the toilet after that. You know, it's a lot of hassles. Why do we need all of this thing? But maybe God is trying to teach us that we need something from outside of us to keep us alive. We can't stay alive without anything from outside of us. We can't stay alive by ourselves. We need something from outside. Now, after we have this experience, the experience in the physical side, we can start to think that maybe also in the spiritual side, we can't be by ourselves. We need something from outside of us to give us life, to help us, to assist us. It might be the soulmate that we have next to us, but it might be also something a bit above this. But how do I come to this conclusion? How do I come to those thoughts? Only because of my experience. The experience that I have in life is building me up. The experience is building me up. I can't live in this world without the experience that I'm running. When I'm young, when the kids are young, the way to tempt them to do things is to buy them some sort of to give them candy or to buy them some sort of a toy, small toy. Try to say to a teenage boy or girl that if they will do this and this, they will get a candy. They don't care because they grew up a bit. So they need to move another level with the experience. If you will do this and this, I will buy you a new iPhone. Oh, okay, I want to do this. This is a teenage, right? Let's continue on. Let's go to the students. 10 years later, 25, 30 years old, if you do this and this, I will give you the degree that you're looking for. I want to do this. And don't speak with them about giving them only an iPhone. An iPhone won't be enough. I want to have the degree that I'm working for. Okay, later on, I want to have the house. You're growing up, and the experiences that you have are growing with you. They are getting bigger. They're getting much greater. What's happening with your spiritual level? Are you staying on the same level when you were young, or you're growing up? The Hebrew nation believe in God because the Hebrew nation have relationship and experience with someone who is guiding us that is above this world. This is the experience of life that we have. We don't believe in miracles. We don't believe in miracles. Miracles is something that could be also a lie. A lie. Untrue. We had an experience of relation with God that the most, I will say, highest experience was that God spoke with us, what we call prophecy. You know that the big philosophers of Greek, okay, Aristotle, one of them was Aristotle, but not only him, they said about the Hebrew people that they met. In their days, it was Shimon HaTzadik, things that we spoke about in the ethics of the fathers. Those are the figures that we spoke about. And they said, we don't understand what is this prophecy that they're speaking about, but they are very wise people. Now, those were the last days of the prophecy. It was something that it's a new dimension to look on the world. We had it for almost 1400 years, not one day. It started, where did it start? For the full nation, it started in Mount Sinai. Now, from where did the rabbi learn to speak about the experience and not something else? And now it's a time to read the last paragraph. Okay, then? Let's read it for once. The last paragraph that we hide it. Please read 25.
All right, number 25. The rabbi answered, "In this way I answered thy first question. In the same strain spoke Moses to Pharaoh." So he's likening this to his analogy of the king of India, right? In the same strain spoke Moses to Pharaoh when he told him, "The God of the Hebrews sent me to you, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." For Abraham was well known to the nations, who also knew that the divine spirit was in contact with the patriarchs cared for them, and performed miracles for them. He did not say, the God of heaven and earth, nor my Creator and thine sent me. In the same way, God commenced his speech to the assembled people of Israel. I am the God whom you worship, who has led you out of the land of Egypt. But he did not say, I am the Creator of the world and your Creator. Now, in the same style, I spoke to thee, Prince of the Kuzzars, when thou didst ask me about my creed. I answered thee as was fitting, and is fitting for the whole of Israel, who knew these things first from personal experience, and afterwards through uninterrupted tradition, which is equal to the former.
So we have some sort of something that happened somewhere in the desert a few thousand years ago. And we also have some sort of a chain that's running from rabbi. The truth is it's running from parents to the kids, and also from rabbis to students. But we're starting with the personal experience. Now, in the fourth command, God is saying, I created this world. Keep the Shabbat because I created the world in 6 days, and on Shabbat I stopped. So keep the Shabbat. So God is telling us in the fourth, commandment that he created the world. But he is not opening with this. He is opening with something else. He is opening with the experience of the people of Israel passed along with him. I took you out from Egypt. It's me who took you out from Egypt. You're not aware of that? I did those miracles to take you out from Egypt. Something that can't happen in a logic way. The Hebrew tradition is being built up, first of all, on a personal experience. And also Moses, when he spoke with Pharaoh, he said to him, you remember Abraham, that 200 years ago, he was here and you got a lot of problems because he took Sarah, your grandfather. It's on your history books. Read it. Go to the experience that we had. This experience is a much high experience than just, feeling or something like that. And we are passing it along. We call this, it's called in Hebrew, it's called in Hebrew, Masoret, okay? It's a continuous. You can't come, we'll speak about this later on, but in principle, you can't come one day to the whole nation and tell them that 20 years ago, we all were in the desert and we ate from the manna. Because someone will say to you, you're bluffing me. My father's here already for 9 generations. Unless it happened. So we have something here, okay, that we experienced for 40 years in the desert with the manna. And it passed over from generation to generation. We had some sort of experience of going out from Egypt. The Hebrew tradition is based, first of all, on the relation that we have with God. Now, it's an opening for something much bigger. If you think about this for a moment, it's an opening for the understanding that the Hebrew tradition is not trying to say that man is in the central of this world and God don't interfere too much. Once a week for 1 hour, we will go to the church. Or that man is nothing here and everybody is supposed to obey in front of God, what the Muslim world is saying. We're speaking about something that have relation between man and God, between the humanity and God, between the Hebrew nation and God. Don't get confused. We're not being, I will say, impressed for miracles. Miracles are only for proving if this person is a prophet or not. I won't go inside to this. It's a very big issue that we need to learn. It's one of the ways to prove that this guy he really spoke with God, or God spoke with him. So he needs to prove it in all sorts of ways, and he's passing a few tests. One of the tests, if you have the possibility of changing the laws of nature. Fair enough. This is part of the test. It's not the only test that he's passing. But leave this for the sages of Israel. We are not, it's written down also in the Maimonides, not only here, okay? We are not impressed from miracles. You can do a lot of things that will be seen here as miracles. In the next generation will be explained in the science. Okay. Today there are a lot of people who are saying maybe Moses had, all sorts of things. I will say something else. No, I will say something a bit more reasonable. I don't know if you know, but 400, 500 years ago, before we knew how to deal with the electricity for the masses, there were a lot of sages from the Hebrew nation, none from the Hebrew nation, who knew how to play a bit with this electricity. So for people in this era, it was a miracle thing. Those people did miracle things. Today we know how to deal with the electricity, so we know it's not a miracle. But this is what I want to say. Miracle is something that it's a bit, referring to things. This was my main point for tonight. I want to introduce you with someone. In the Noah World Center, we are growing up with a lot of things, and we have a new department in the Arabic language, and we're working with them. And we also have someone that became part of us, and is going to be to lead the North America side. His name is Yehuda Cohen. Yehuda, please raise your hand. Yehuda, please raise your hand so everybody will see you. Let me pin you for a moment. Okay, I'm going to give you. Now you can see Yehuda. Everybody can see Yehuda. Now we can raise your hand. Fair enough. And Yehuda, first of all, he's a priest, a Kohen. Yeah? You need to admire him. Yehuda is part of the Noahide World Center today, and we're going to do dive inside to the things of the North America, and it's a privilege for us to work together. And I want to give Yehuda a few moments to speak and to say a few things. So I will be quiet now, and Yehuda will speak. Okay, let me.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you, Rav Chaim, for that introduction, and it's nice to see everybody here. I didn't know how many people to expect, and I think it's really exciting, just in general, that so many people are really like looking to become Noachites and to connect to what's happening in history. What's happening in our chapter of history. Tonight is actually I know where we are in Israel, it's already night. Where some of you are, it might still be daytime. But tonight, on the Hebrew calendar, it's the 26th of the month of Iyar, Kaf Vav Iyar. It's important for two reasons. Number one, it's the Yahrzeit of one of our masters, the Ramchal, Rav Moshe Chaim Lutzato. So whatever Torah we learn together in the next few minutes, we can say is Leilui Nishmat, for the elevation of the soul of Rav Moshe Chaim ben Yaakov, the Ramchal, who taught many things, revealed many secrets in the world in his short time here. And it's also important tonight because it's actually the first day of the 6-day war. Like we celebrate here in Israel, Yom Yerushalayim, Tuesday night, Wednesday will be commemorating the date that we liberated Jerusalem. That's very important. It says in the Kabbalistic writings that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, won't enter Jerusalem Lamala, like the celestial Jerusalem, like the pretend for a moment this world is like a website. There's like the front end of the website and there's the code. So it says that the divine presence won't enter the code of Jerusalem until Israel returns to the front end of Jerusalem, the terrestrial Jerusalem. So we see that a lot of the secrets of our Torah were revealed to us and revealed to the masses as a result of us coming back to Jerusalem on the 28th of ER. That's 2 days from now. But tonight, the 26th is also very important because the 26th is really the beginning of the miracles. And Rabbi Chaim said we don't rely on miracles, we don't look for miracles, but sometimes miracles come to teach us that something we weren't sure about has a divine stamp of approval. You know, like in the one of the big holidays on our calendar is the festival of Hanukkah, which is one of the holidays of the Maccabean revolt, which was a 26-year war that we fought to free our land from the Seleucid Greek Empire. But not everybody agreed at the time that it was right for us to fight the Greeks, that it was the right thing for us to do. And we had the Maccabean I happened to live on the mountain where the Maccabean had their partisan camp. And we fought many battles and we won many battles, but still not everybody was really with us. A lot of the nation wasn't with us until after the Battle of Beit Sur, when we came back and rededicated our temple. We experienced the miracle of the oil. Like one day's oil supply lasted 8 days, and we took that as a divine stamp of approval on the entire war. And you could look at the state of Israel in a very similar way. You know, in 1948, when we declared a state, and not everybody agreed it was the right thing to do. Not every rabbi agreed it was the right thing to do. There were a lot of disagreements among the rabbanim in the Jewish world whether or not it was right for us to come back and declare a state. But then 19 years later, we experienced really one of the most miraculous wars in our people's history. The only war I could think of that could compete for open miracles is when the sun stood still for Joshua in the Battle of Givon. But other than that, this is really the most openly miraculous war in our people's history. And that a lot of us experience as a stamp of divine approval of the entire process of all of Zionism and declaring a state in 1948 and everything that had led up to that moment. So really the miracles began on the 26th. The 26th is when we succeeded against all odds at taking out Egypt's Air Force. Really, we too many coincidences lined up for us to be able to succeed in this mission. It was a very dangerous mission. We didn't expect to be as successful as we were, but we were. And it's actually very relevant to what's going on today because it was on the 26th of ER that we actually conquered Gaza from the Egyptians. Meaning every day of the war marks a different part of our country that we return to. The first day of the war is Gaza, the second is the Shomron, the third is, of course, Jerusalem. That's when we really celebrate with Hallel and full festivities. The fourth day is Hebron, then they were our most cherished ancestors are buried. Then the fifth day is the Sinai, which we unfortunately don't have anymore. And then the sixth day is the Golan Heights. But each day marks a unique conquest, a unique return to a piece of our homeland that we were separated from for so long, but also as a big picture. From a big picture perspective, we can say that really the entire war and its openly miraculous nature and the fact that we're able to accomplish so much in 6 days and fight off 3 armies, and even not just 3 armies, but even we could say, it was a moment where the world experienced a biblical style miracle in the heart of the 20th century, but according to the Jewish interpretation of Scripture. And it really, I think, had a lasting impact on humanity's collective psyche. I think that it really shook the world. And I think that a lot of the pressure that we're sometimes under from Western governments to make a 2-state solution is really an attempt by the civilization that feels most threatened by our return to make that victory, that event, historically irrelevant, right? I think on a very, very deep subconscious level, there's a sense that the 6-Day War has deep historical meaning, that the children of Israel, the characters from the Bible, have returned to life, that we're back on the world stage, And for some people, that's a very scary idea. So we have to, first of all, we have to continue to move forward, continue to advance this historical process, continue to rebuild the nation of Israel with all of our true allies, and also to ultimately show even those who feel threatened by it that there is no reason to really feel threatened. To show those who right now feel that they have to push back against this process and limit our achievements and obstruct our national rebirth, that they shouldn't be worried, and that this is actually a positive thing that's happening in history, and it's going to lead all of humanity somewhere better, B'ezrat Hashem. So it's really exciting to be part of that. We're living in one of the most amazing chapters of human history. It's exciting to have you guys on board, from all the different places you're joining us from, attaching yourselves to the nation of Israel as we come back to life, and as we prepare to figure out who we are and to be able to lead all of humanity somewhere much better than where the world is today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for saying those words. We need to, I think that we need to add everybody here for all the main 6 points that we are going to do from Wednesday, right? 6 points of what happened in the 6-day war. Rabbi Sherki, by the way, is saying this in one short sentence. He's saying the 6-day war was a Bible event in the modern world. Okay, it was a Bible event. The Hebrew nation came back to their homeland, to Jericho, to Shechem, Nablus, to Jerusalem, to the place where the patriarchs are being the tombs of the patriarch in Hebron. So it's a Bible event in the era of the modern world, and this is why so many people are very afraid of what's happening. Today we have a spillover from this Middle East conflict. It came to Europe, to the United States, to all of the modern world, and basically it's also a very big fight, a very big debate between the Muslims and the Christians also. Each one of them is trying to say, I'm leading the world, and the Muslims are very upset. They want also to lead the world. And here we have a big, I will say, a big event that is much bigger than just what's happening in Gaza. As usual, we're in the middle of the things. Thank you very much, Yuda. Welcome to this family. I have a few minutes. If anyone wants to ask something, to say something, to know something, we can speak here. It's okay. Don't be shy. Not everybody together. Everything is fine. Yes, please. Yaakov, I see that you want to speak. Please.
I'm from the U.S., but I live in Paris. So, if you need any help with those Americans, you hit me up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Hannah, Shoshana, sorry. What is the time by you, Shoshana?
Shalom, Rav.
What is the time by you?
It's here 12 already.
12 at night.
I entered June.
Fair enough. Applause to Shoshana. She stayed awake till 12 o'clock to be with us. Excellent. Thank you very much. Fair enough. Any more questions? No, it's something that you want to say. Please feel comfortable. It's okay if not. It's okay if not. We're not pushing anyone.
Rabbi, can I make a quick comment?
Yes, please.
One thing that I noticed with many of the people who are, protesting and doing all this stuff right now, one of the things that everyone seems to not realize is that Israel would never exist if God didn't take him out of Egypt. They're here because they were taken out. If they weren't taken out, we would not have a Bible. We would not have Israel. There won't be any Hebrews. There'll be nothing.
There won't be any.
We'll still be burning babies for, whoever's God.
You're more than right. We say this in the Passover festival that you do, that if God wouldn't take us out from Egypt, we were still there, and the world would have been stuck in the same situation of the moral way. When I'm saying the same situation is, no one can have really a freedom. Everybody is stuck where he is. And it's true that the idea of liberty and freedom is coming mainly in places where they've heard about the Jews going out from Egypt. The idea that a nation could go out from being conquered and captured by someone else, this is what is giving people the inspiration. We can see this also in the last generation, in South Africa, they're very naughty, or in the United States in the 60s of the last century, where they took Moses and the slogan, "Let my people go," as the main thing that led them to get the freedom. So we're speaking about events that happened in somewhere there, very long time ago in the Bible era, and it's still giving a lot of inspiration for people to lead their groups to freedom. The black people in the United States in the 60s of the last century, and the black people in South Africa with Nelson Mandela. Those are the words and those are the sentences that they took, and they took it from the Bible. It's fine. I think that they did a very good job, okay? But the inspiration is coming mainly from the Hebrew tradition that it could happen. This is something that could be a reality and giving freedom to everybody. Thank you very much, Lara.
Yes, very, very true. And then what do you do with freedom, and what is freedom? And so often people think of freedom as having absolutely no restraint whatsoever, and that is not, in fact, what freedom is. Having a lack of restraint actually leads to more bondage, and I think the Hebrew message runs so deep that people need to understand what freedom is. And it's great to have it, but it doesn't mean having absolute no restrictions whatsoever. And I think the Hebrew message clearly teaches us the right paths to walk on in all matters, and it's very important to understand the basis of all situations in order to put freedom into its proper place.
Fair enough. Okay, now next week we're going to continue on with the Jewish, with the rabbi, okay? And we're going to move to another stage. As I said before, mainly we're explaining this idea of the Hebrew tradition, Hebrew belief, and we will start to realize how to look on the world and our life in a way that will give us inspiration, in a way how to be connected, all of us together, in a good way. So I'm urging you to look on the things and to learn them with your Chavruta, with your people, before we're going to meet next week. And see you all next Sunday. It's very close to the Shavuot celebration that we all got the Torah.
So we will be back next Sunday, Hashem willing, with part 6, and it gets very interesting. Beautiful material. I'll be reviewing the discussion on Tuesday with my Chavruta partner, Jacob, there in Paris, and it's exciting. So hopefully you'll join us. Always good to hear the rabbi's insights on the matter, because it always seems to bring up points that we didn't seem to catch or overlooked or washed over or glossed over. Often life is like that. It gets to be like a wave or a river that just moves you along, and got to learn to catch all the goodness in order to be able to apply it for sure. So, thank you so much, Rabbi. Good turnout today, and is it? Yeah, I think on that note, we're going to tune out for today. Yeah, so we will be back next week, and till then, have a wonderful week, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you,
so much.
Rabbi.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Cue there.